there's technology out there that will let us fix this that didn't even exist 5 years ago. And if we don't build it right now, somebody's going to in the immediate term. My name's Bob Moore. I'm the CEO and co-founder over at a company called Crossbeam. Crossbeam, you can think of almost like an escrow service for data. So when two companies partner with each other, they very often have questions like, how many customers do we have in common and who are they? Or, are my sales reps currently trying to sell to any of the same people or companies that your sales reps are trying to sell to? Math is working against you when you try to answer those questions. You can't draw a Venn diagram between my data and your data unless I give you all of my data or you give me all of yours. And that's kind of a non-starter for a bunch of really good security and privacy related reasons. So Crossbeam solves that data standoff issue by kind of being this secure, independent third party that sits in between companies who partner with each other and provides an environment where they can connect their data and then specify extremely nuanced rules about who can see what, when, and under what circumstances. The idea for Crossbeam really emerged when at Stitch, we got to witness everything going on in the modern data stack around cloud data warehousing, modern data pipelines, the modern API economy. What that all amounts to is like, it's easier than ever to move data, and that data is more structured than ever. And that gives you the opportunity to build new kinds of technology and platforms on the backs of like this constant stream of data coming out of all these reliable systems of record. And that whole escrow service for data concept would have been physically impossible even like 5 or 6 years ago. APIs were not as mature and reliable as they are today. The systems that you can spin up in the middle to consume and process that data were not as cost efficient and globally deployable as they are and trusted as they are today. And frankly, the concerns about the security and privacy that we solve weren't as prevalent in the like pre-GDPR CCPA era where they've become a really big deal now. This thing only works if everybody uses it. Like it is inherent to the thing itself that there is no single player mode, and if your partners are not also on the platform, then it is not valuable to you. But once you and all of your partners are on the platform, there is this really compelling like ecosystem level lock-in where we become the exclusive place where you can get access to this, specific layer of data. So then the question becomes twofold in terms of how big this gets. One is, can you actually climb that mountain and build that network graph and overcome the cold start problem within the network effects? And that's really been the North Star of our business throughout most of our history. But then there's like Act 2, which is, okay, if you feel like you've actually won that battle and you have then that network graph captive, what can you build on top of this proprietary data layer that you are the only source through which people can get at it? Every time I come across some gap in the market or some like interesting problem that I start geeking out about, but I don't have the time or focus to do it, I throw it into this file. And in early 2019, I guess it was, maybe this was actually early 2018, we were like in the process of starting to think about selling Stitch. I remember talking to Jake Stein, my old co-founder, about the list and about what was on it, because I was thinking about what was next. And this idea, which was called Shared Secrets at the time, before the Crossbeam name came along, just kept bubbling up to the top, because it felt like, of all the ideas that existed, it felt like it had the best why now, and it had the biggest implications if it could be successful, but was probably also the most volatile. I come to the office one day, it's just me and Jake, and over the weekend, I had read some business book. I don't even remember what it was. It might have been a lean startup. It might have been like Crossing the Chasm, Innovator's Dilemma, one of these things. And I start talking to Jake about this book and how good it was. And I'm like, oh, and they said this thing, and they also said this thing, and it gave me really like this really good idea. And Jake like lets me ramble for a little bit, and there's like a silence in the air, and he just says to me, "What didn't you like about it?" And this is where I get to use my one F word. I was like, fuck you, man. Because it really just completely, I like spent the next 24 hours going from like completely in love with this book to looking at the book through the lens of a skeptic, and just realizing how much of it was like self-confirmatory, telling me what I wanted to hear, like random non-actionable bullshit, basically.